This is James Lutton for Round 8 Boxing. Delighted to join with Caoimhin Agyarko. Caoimhin, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks. All good.
Good stuff, mate. Fight week again. I don't think you expected it so soon. Obviously, got a late notice call up. How would that come about?
Yeah, I was back in Belfast, so I was on my way to play a bit of paddle with my friends, and I got the confirmation of it 7 o'clock Sunday night. So yeah, I had to book a flight and fly back to Liverpool. I knew a day or two before that it was a possibility, but kind of not half went quiet. Nothing was confirmed, and then Sunday night. Um, I got told that it was confirmed, and yeah, flew back to Belfast or Liverpool the next day.
Did you think when you was told a few days before that Sunday, did you think that you would get the nod essentially with the history of Matchroom, obviously not renewing your contract, etc.? Did you think that they might try and overlook you again?
Yeah, I think obviously if they've contacted my manager about fighting, then I don't think they would have had too many options. Do you know what I mean? Especially if they wanted it to be an exciting fight, a competitive fight. So I'm not sure who else at 154 that they would have been able to get. So yeah, as soon as they kind of, it was more so what was in the contract and whatever else that had to get confirmed. So um, yeah, but that's what I say. It went kind of went quiet for on the Sunday, and I was just thinking, yeah, maybe this isn't going to get across the line. And I was up on my way to paddle, and um, I got the text off Paul saying that it was confirmed, and I booked the flight um, when I got to paddle and flew to Liverpool the next day.
You mentioned, stuff in the contract, stipulations, etc. Obviously, you're replacing Ishmael Davis, I think I'm right in saying, and he is the Matchroom fighter. So are you the A side, B side, or were you first, last? What's the situation? Or do you not know that yet?
I couldn't tell you. I suspect from them and putting it as Kelly Agyarko that he will be first. He'll be the A side. I don't really care. To be honest with you, you know what I mean. We're both going to get in there, try and punch slops out of each other. A side, B side, it means nothing. Do you know what I mean? I mean, this is the first time in my career that I'll walk first, but it's going to happen at some stage. So why not now? So I don't look into all that stuff. I'm going to walk to that ring and try and take his head off, and he's going to walk to the ring. I'm going to try and take my head off, so it doesn't matter who goes first, who goes second.
Does it feel weird to obviously you've just fought Connaughton and then all of a sudden you're getting a phone call back on a flight back to the gym within a matter of what couple of weeks? Does it does it feel strange for you to do that, or is it almost a bit like back in the amateur days where you're fighting so regularly?
Um, It is what it is, isn't it? It doesn't feel weird. It's business. It's boxing. It's you've got to be ready for these opportunities. You've got to be professional. Thankfully, I was just coming off a win. It was obviously exactly a week to the day that I fought Colson, so I didn't have much of a break. And after a very long camp and then another 2 week camp there, and um, making weight for Colson, and then going blowing back up, and then coming back down isn't great. But that's boxing. It is what it is. I mean, I'm going to go out there and fight on Saturday night, and 10 days notice, 10 weeks notice. I believe in my skills. It doesn't really matter. So there'll be no excuses for me. I'm going to go out there, perform Saturday night, get another win on my record, and push on.
Do you know much about Ryan Kelly? Was you aware of him? I know he fought obviously Kieran Commonwealth at Commonwealth in his last fight. Did you know much about him? Was he ever on your radar?
Never on my radar. No, I didn't know nothing about him. I know I've never watched him, to be honest with you, until obviously the fight was made. I don't watch my opponents. I let my coaches do that. I watched all my opponents. I watched like 2 minutes of them, 2 3 minutes, and it shouldn't take me any longer than that to know what they do and what I've got to do to beat them. So, um, yeah, never on my radar. Never watched them. I know he's tough. He's had a couple close decisions. One with Conway, one with Brad Pauls. He lost to Hamza. He lost to a couple of other dudes, but I don't care who he's lost to. I expect the best. Ryan Kelly on the night. You know, what I mean, he was preparing for a tough fight with Ismail Davis, so he's going to be the best shape, best. Do you know what I mean? There should be no excuses from him. Do you know what I mean? So I don't look at his losses. I just know that I'm prepared for the best Ryan Kelly on the night.
You mentioned obviously a few losses there. 5 losses on his record, 19 wins, 1 draw. Stopped once by Hamza Shiraz. Do you think it would be a statement by you to go and stop him on Saturday night, or knowing you as well as I know you, you've probably got the mentality thinking you should be beating the Ryan Kellys anyway?
I should be beating the Ryan Kellys anyway. If I want to be the first Black Irish world champ, if I want to be at the top, then some 5 losses. Now he's stepped up. Everyone that's beat him is either British champion or European champion, fought for world titles. Do you know what I mean? They're good fighters. So and he's been in some close decisions. But if I want to be where I want to be in the sport, I should be beating people like them. And yeah, you can say, well, you've took it on 10 days' notice, but it doesn't really matter to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I need to be beating people like this.
Obviously, I mentioned that you fought Hardy Collinson and it went a distance. It was a bit of a ring rust shake off for yourself. It was a dominant one-sided performance, even if the referee didn't see it as wide as everyone else did. First of all, what do you make of that? The scorecard from the ref.
Listen, I, I thought I won every round comfortably. I didn't get out of first gear. I was rusty, whatever else. But I said to the ref in the ring, I says, what 2 rounds did you give him? And he says, oh, he deserved 2 rounds. And I says, can you tell me what 2 rounds? And he kind of told me to go away, so he couldn't even justify it. But listen, I respect the referee's decision. He's the referee. He puts the scores. I still won the fight, so it's no big deal. But and maybe it'll give people a bit of confidence. Oh, he lost 2 rounds to him. You go and look at the fight. I didn't lose no rounds. But yeah, it is what it is.
Is that ever a concern for a fighter when, for example, they're the referee who clearly didn't want to justify his decision, saying he deserved 2 rounds because what he had a bit of heart or what, you know? Also, we look at the TKV Adelaide fight. The referee's been had to stand up in front of the British Board of Control for his actions in that fight. Does it ever worry you, a referee's actions and the influence they have over a bout?
Um, Not necessarily. It doesn't. It's not something I think about going into a fight. I respect all refs. I get they've got a tough job to do, but when they're making mistakes that shouldn't be made, that nobody else would be making them, or like the fans can see, then that's when you've got to be worried or question it. Um, and listen, they're only human, so they're going to make mistakes, but it can be very costly for fighters. Do you know what I mean? Um, if that was a close fight with Collison and he's given 2 rounds off the basis that he deserved them or he's tough, then it could go the other way against me. And then, do you know what I mean? Like whenever he didn't deserve them 2 rounds that he gave him. So yeah, I don't focus on it. It's not something I focus on. I focus on my performance, and my performance on the night should be good enough. Um, and like I say, I respect all the referees and judges and officials. So um, I know they've got a hard job, but at the same time, it's the fighters that pay. And at the end of the day, do you know what I mean? If they've got something wrong.
Absolutely. I went off on a bit of a tangent. What I was going to ask you was about Harley Collison. Was that good preparation for you heading into this fight of Ryan Kelly? Because they're both tough, they're both durable opponents.
Um, Completely different styles. So the Harley Collison fight was. I've never ever in 21 years of boxing felt ring rust like it. Genuinely, my timing is something that is always on point. My distance control, my sharpness is something that's always on point from round one. I never have to. I do start slow sometimes, but I never have to try and force myself to find my way into the fight. And from round 1 to 4, it was absolutely shocking. I went back to the corner and said to Swifty, "Wow, my timing and distance control and everything is completely off here." And felt my way in the fourth and fifth round. I think when you seen that in the fifth round, when I dropped him with a well timed 1-2, you seen that. But I think just ring rust and inactivity showed in there, and thankfully it was a lesser opponent because it may have been a bit harder on the night against a tougher opponent. But then again, I think he made it very awkward and didn't want to engage and had an unorthodox style. So yeah, but I wouldn't say that it was good preparation for this fight because they're stylistically two different types of fighters.
Talk to me what goes through your head at that moment in the fight, and you're saying, "Wow, what's going on? This is not me. It's not the normal Caoimhin Agyarko." Do you start feeling any pressure, any panic? What goes through your head?
No, I just told myself to relax and stop trying too hard. Just relax, it will come. Yeah, so literally said to myself at the end of the fourth, stop trying too hard, stop looking for that one shot, try and put a couple combinations together, try bring your feet in more. I'm a fighter that adopts and normally adopts quickly. It took me 4 rounds to adopt in a big fight. That's costly, but um, I adopted quickly and kind of found my range and kind of knew that don't stand the middle distance and try and do it. Just cover up and go forward. He's not really going to trouble you with anything. Catch a couple shots and come back, and that's exactly what I did.
Obviously, the inactivity played a big part in that. We're obviously getting active again. Obviously, as I mentioned at the start, not as we didn't think we'd be as active as you are being with the fights in 3 weeks between each other. But for you, is that what it's all about this year? Just keeping busy, keeping active, and getting out there. And on the flip side, how hard is that without a promoter?
I won't fucking break now. No, yeah, the key is activity, but I need a little break after this. This will be 15 weeks straight. Do you know what I mean? I haven't seen my girlfriend in a long time and spent, well, obviously I seen her last week or 2 weeks ago when I was home, but I haven't spent any real time with my missus, my friends and family. So I do need a little break because you'll just burn out and you need to listen to your body. So I'll have a little break, a couple of weeks off, take over in the gym, and then straight back to it. Yeah, I'd love another big fight in the summer. Um, yeah, in the summer, I think would be perfect for me. September maybe. But yeah, we'll get through this. We get through Saturday night, then there's a couple of things in the pipeline.
Is there anything in the back of your mind heading to Saturday night? Obviously, back on the Matchroom show, thinking perform well here. They could no.
No, go and be the best Caoimhin Agyarko that you can be. Don't. No one. No, there isn't Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith, any promoter that puts any pressure or me thinking about any pressure more than I put on myself anyway. So it doesn't matter. I'm not going out. I have to prove me wrong, right? I have to prove me right. So I'm not trying to prove anyone else right other than myself because I know my performances haven't been great and I know that I'm a lot better than I've been performing. Um, but I know it'll all come together because I'm still unbeaten and nobody's cracked the code yet. So regardless, people say, "Oh, he doesn't hit as hard as people say, or he thinks, or he's not as good as he says, or he thinks." Nobody's cracked the code yet. Nobody's beat me. Um, and when you're in there with me, you know how hard I hit. So, uh, yeah, listen, I put pressure on myself to do well. I put pressure on myself to perform, so I don't focus on anybody else. Um, it's all outside noise. It's all outside noise. I don't care what anybody says or thinks because I'm my biggest critic. You could ask Swifty, you can ask Paul Reddy. They'll tell me that I'm sparring well, and I'll be pissed off because I did one thing wrong. So, um, it doesn't matter who's watching me, or I've just got to go out and be the best Caoimhin Agyarko, focus on my performance and not focus on who's watching, who I need to impress, or this, that, and the other. And that should be good enough to win Saturday night.
Has in some ways not having a promoter been a bit of a blessing for you because you've been able to jump on this top tier show, then straight into a Matchroom show, and is there less pressure on your shoulders?
No, I don't think so. I think the inactivity wasn't. I didn't need that. I didn't need the inactivity after the Troy Williamson fight. Because if you think about it, since I got surgery, I've only had since I got surgery, I've only had 4 fights, and that was 2023. start of 2023. So it's not enough. 2 fights a year. Even before that, I was only fighting two fights a year, and it's I think I had no, yeah, 2 fights a year. Even when I joined Matchroom, I had one in December, and then two in 2022, two in 2023 with Matchroom, and 2 fights a year isn't enough. So hopefully I can get this one, and then another one in the summer, and then maybe one in the end of the year.
Why has it been just 2 fights a year, even when you've been with the big promoters? Is that just partly down to injuries? Is that down to lack of finding opponents willing to come and fight you? What is it?
I don't know, to be honest with you, because I was very active at the start of my career. Like, I had 6 fights in my first year as a professional, um, and then I only had 3 fights. Obviously, we had COVID and stuff. I had 2 fights during COVID, and then 2021 I had one more with Frank Warren, and then one with Eddie when I signed with Eddie. So I don't know. Obviously, I got injured, and see, people don't know that my second fight with Matchroom, I snapped the ligament in my hand, and I still fought that fight, and then went straight back into camp and fought another fight, and went straight back into camp and prepared for Peter Dobson, and only 10 days before, my coach at the time pulled me out. Um, so I was fighting for a good part of what 10 months with an injury. Do you know what I mean? With a snap ligament in my hand. Um, so then I needed the time off to go and get surgery, but then I come back too soon. Um, and then I got another injury. So yeah, you could say a couple of injuries have halted my career, but we're injury free now, and we were injury free last year, and that's probably when I needed the activity, was last year. But hopefully we can get some more activity this year, and this is obviously got off to a good start. Going to be 2 fights in 4 months, start of the year.
Absolutely. Just finally, Keith, once I got you on, I want to talk about another fight that's coming up this weekend, and I want to get your opinion on it as a fighter, your point of view on it. So, Ben Whittaker, Leon Cameron, 10 rounds, 12 rounds, contract fiascos. It's to be honest, it's been a bit of a shit show. What's your thoughts on that?
A bit of a shit show, bit of a nuisance for both fighters. I think managers, promoters are making a mincemeat of it. Um, I kind of feel sorry for Ben Shalom, to be honest with you. He's come into boxing, and it's very tough in boxing as a promoter and to make it big, and he's did well enough. But I don't know Ben personally. I've never met him, never had a conversation with him, don't know him as a guy. But it's kind of big. The big promoters bullying the small promoters when it shouldn't be like that. I don't like to see stuff like that, um and I'm sure the big promoters know how hard it was at the start when they were starting off. So never do someone any bad if you can help them out. Do you know what I mean? And I know they're all in it for themselves and they want to make money and whatever else, but they're all gonna have to. They're all working with each other now, and you never know that they might need a favor off Ben. But I just feel like if the initial contract, the one before the first fight, so they had a contract for the first fight, and in that contract it says there's a rematch clause if Ben Whittaker loses. That rematch clause would have been for a 10 rounder. So the new contract that they've sent over, Ben has obviously come out and said that it was a templated contract for another fighter and they'll pay for it, but it will be a 10 rounder. How can the first contract get voided? I don't understand that. If that first contract was a rematch for a 10 rounder, how can the second contract void that first contract? I don't really get it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit of a shit show for the fighters, I think, and everyone involved. But the fight's on fucking Sunday or Saturday or Sunday, so
And they,
I wouldn't like to be in that situation if I was the fighters, not knowing if you're fighting. I think Liam Cameron's playing on it a bit and all, talking about going to or that he doesn't know he's fighting and going to um court and whatever else and sue. Who needs that? Who Nobody needs that. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully both their teams can sit down and get something sorted and put it to bed, because I think it's very, very unfair on both fighters having to go into the ring on Sunday if it happens, with that at the back of their mind, especially in a big rematch where there's a lot at stake for both fighters. So Hopefully their team can sit down and get that sorted.
Just put yourself into Ben Whitaker's shoes. How would you feel if your promoter was at the cause of this and it's still not been resolved come fight week?
Is it his promoter? Or is it the team behind him? Because I'm near sure Ben Shalom isn't writing them contracts, and do you know what I mean? He'll have a solicitor, he'll have a backroom staff that will be ones writing up the contracts and reviewing everything. Obviously, he has to okay the terms and conditions in it, but he wasn't the one that made the mistake. So, and I think that's what people's got to remember. He wasn't the one that made the mistake. People behind the scenes made a mistake, and he's having to take the shit for it. Which it's his promotional company, so it's going to lie on him. But at the same time, he wasn't initially the one that done it. But I doubt Ben Whitaker's happy with his promotional team. I doubt that they're happy with his promotional team, and things don't be looking good for Boxer and Ben Shalom. Just I seen today stuff about Amir Khan and stuff like that. But yeah, it's boxing. These things happen. It's business. People make mistakes. It's life. People take life too seriously. People obviously there's a lot at stake, but people think that they're perfect and they don't make mistakes, and it's all bullshit. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like it's been blown out of proportion, and it should have been settled by now.
You mentioned the Amir Khan thing, so what do you make of that? Because it, from the sounds of it, in Amir Khan's contract when he fought Kell Brook, it would be a case of they Boxer would then essentially bring him on for punditry work, etc., on their shows on the Sky Sports platform. In my opinion, surely that's null and void when it comes out that Amir Khan's pop dirty and he's been on peds and he's failed a drugs test. Who do you think has he got a leg to stand on? Has he got a right to turn around and try and sue Boxer and Ben Shannon for not sticking to that contractual obligation?
I think he does, yeah, because I think he does, yeah, because he the punditry isn't anything to do with fighting. So if that's a separate contract in terms of being an athlete. That's nothing to do with being a boxer and fighting. So if he's tested for failing drugs testing and whatever else, did he come out and clear his name? No, I'm not sure.
He came out and admitted it and took the ban, but he's already retired. Uh,
Okay.
for me, I suppose, from a Sky Sports perspective, do they want on somebody who is serving a drugs ban? And I know you can turn around and there's probably other guys who have been on broadcasts who have failed or serving bans, etc. as well. Just one of those.
It's a dirty sport. It's a dirty sport. It's honestly it's a filthy dirty sport, rotten to the core. So I don't see why they wouldn't. Nothing surprises me in this. So I don't know in this sport. So I don't know why they wouldn't have him on. Especially he fought all his career near enough on Sky Sports and in massive fights on Sky Sports. So, um, but I'm near sure I seen Amir come out and say that it's been resolved and he'll be working with Ben Shalom and Boxer in the future. So, hopefully that's another issue sorted for them.
You mentioned obviously it's a dirty sport. Without naming names, have you ever witnessed drugs in boxing? Have you ever heard people in boxing talking about it or anything like that at all?
Um, you can tell who's on. You can tell who's not. Do you know what I mean? I just think I I'm not going to sit here and say yes. I know people are definitely on it or this, that, and the other, but it's a dirty sport. Box just from every aspect of it. From you've got drug cheats, you've got promoters fucking boxers over, you got managers fucking boxers over. Everyone's fucking everybody, and it's a dirty sport, and it's rotten to the core. And only my love for the technical side of the pure sweet science of boxing, the training, you can learn something new every single day in boxing. That's kept me on the sport, and obviously my ambition and dream of being a world champion. So, but it's a dirty sport. It's the business side of boxing and the fighters cheating and stuff like that. It's rotten to the core, and it is what it is. I'm sure there's other sports like that. I'm sure there's a lot of other sports that are as cropped as boxing and whatnot. But that's the sport I'm in, unfortunately.
Well, obviously, Saturday night, next fight up for yourself. Best of luck, CJ. Thank you for your time as always. Pleasure.
Come on, thank you, James.